Welcome to the Dark Rising Goddess podcast. Dark Goddess Rising, excuse me. Sometimes I feel like I'm on a Hollywood set when I hit the record button and know that I'm live. It just does something to you when you know that the world is listening. So everyone give yourself a round of applause for just being you today. Is very important. So how's the Dark family doing this evening? Are you ready for a dark tale? Well, that is what I have in store for you tonight. Tonight, we are going to talk about the Spider Woman. And as you can see from the thumbnail, she is an indigenous woman, an elder, and she's sitting in the center of her web, and she's holding her right hand out, and through her right hand, she's casting a web. Now, many of us might have our own philosophy on what this web is. But I'll remind you once again, we are talking about a goddess. So when she weaves her web, she's weaving it for humanity as a creatrix. As are all of our female counterparts out there, some of us know we are creatrixes, and some of us don't. But that's why we're here. With the art of storytelling, I intend to have you embody yourself in the story of the goddess. Here is where a lot of our inner work can be done. We don't like to face our darkness head on. So through the art of storytelling, we can identify some of our traits within some of these goddesses. Now, I'm not one to say heavy mythology, because esoterically and spiritually speaking, what you believe to be real is actually what is real. Reality is created from our thoughts, and then we go and gather the materials that we need to make an actual thing that was in our head. Now in this digital world, we're also figuring out that we're creators because we can go into a computer, tap into the etheric field of information, and pull out whatever it is that we need on our journey. Isn't that fantastic? I mean, have you ever looked at it like that? That you have the world literally at your fingertips. There is no reason for any sort of lack, no reason for any sort of need. Most of us can go shopping right in our homes. How dare you keep going out there buying things and I'll have you, as this dark goddess is speaking, Tanya 23 has to be quiet because she's learning also. I tell you, I get completely engulfed and possessed by the spirit that's speaking through me. I was talking to my one and only daughter the other day, and she's 23 years old now, so she's spewing out all this wisdom, and she's a new mother and a new wife, so she is so full and pregnant with all of this wisdom. And I am so glad the universe, well, some of us can take information dumps and some of us can't, but she's handling it quite well, because when she reciprocates it, you can tell it's coming from an ancient place. She is a goddess, a mother already. I tell you, I've been through it 3 times, but I'll tell you, wisdom is actually born when the child comes through the womb. The mother gets super intelligent out of nowhere. Even your most ditziest of specimens have this great wisdom while they're giving birth. And we're not talking about the mothers that don't love their children while they're in the womb and they have every intention on getting rid of them as soon as they come out. We're not speaking about them because they are possessed with the demon, with the Ceterian demon, whichever one of zillions you want to, name. But I can tell you the source, which is all that's important. And it's a Ceterian energy on these women that want to hurt their seeds or dispose of them while they're in the womb. Me being a mother, that is so far left and unheard of, unspeakable type thing. So on the opposite of the shadow side, I can tell you it's pretty extreme with these women. And it's not always, we peg it as postpartum, but that's because our culture doesn't practice spiritual evaluations. Our world is going to have to let go of these insurance companies that don't want to cover such esoteric and holistic practices. I can tell you right now, their asses is a wrap. They're going to have to start letting us accept insurance and get our just payments, because they are stopping millions of people from getting the help that they need just because they can't afford to pay for it out of pocket. And most employers need to freaking cover that as a benefit for their employees, especially the high tension and stress jobs. That should be a no-brainer. No one should need to blow up at work and hurt everybody, because there should be a program in place, especially for employers that worked with Reiki masters. Okay? Because we can be available on real-time counseling, because we can do distant Reiki. You can call me on FaceTime and I can give you a Reiki session. Once you learn how to direct energy, that's it. Once you know, you know. So now our society is going to have to adjust and allow us practitioners to do what we do. Our sound healers, all of us should be able to accept payments from medical insurance, should be able to bill the medical insurance companies, just like these doctors. But like I say, if you're not shoveling all their medication down your throat that eventually causes something else unto death, then that means that you're not participating in your health. Like that definition, the dark goddess cast it all the way in the pits of hell, never to return. And as a matter of fact, when I'm writing down shit I need to get rid of, that's going to be one of them. The insurance companies need to stop blocking the natural homeopathic healers. and the natural doulas out there. It should be a choice. It is a choice of the woman, but it's mainly those that can afford it because it has to be paid out of pocket. And that's because they will not allow the natural homeopathic healers to do what we do and be a crucial and beneficial part of the society. And that is the fear that they have. That is the reason why we cannot give the mass care that we are capable of doing. Those of us that grow our herbs, we gather our herbs, we make our healing salves, we do everything we need, we store things for our families and everything, but it needs to go outside now. Okay, because we have done some miraculous things with our families. I will speak for myself. I have cured a lot of things, from colds, flus. I've actually done distance Reiki for people that were in bad shape on ventilators in the hospital with the big C. Okay, one distance Reiki session was the crucial moment, whether as to take them off the ventilator and let the fever burn them up, or to have a break in the fever so they could try to, reverse what's going on. That happened for us, so we have receipts of our healing experiences. I've always been told at the touch of my hand, there is such a great healing heat. But I never have a fever. But I can definitely heat up to the point where I can make a Caucasian person turn red without even touching them by directing the energy. And so not every Reiki master is actually a Reiki master. But, it goes that way. You have to put in the time, the meditation and the practice, to master something. So I actually have some years in, I do Reiki on myself, family members, and I have a few clients, but I need more clients. I'm in an area where there are a lot of sickly people, like right in my community I'm trying to start. But, people are, it's like a partially Christian, partially occultish town, because I've never seen Halloween celebrated the way I see it here. So there's something about Baltimore where they love Halloween, especially in the little towns. I can definitely tell you, I'm from a witch town, and that's all to it. But lo and behold, I ended up here. Isn't that something? And I never really discovered or had it brought to my attention, my witchy talents, until I got to this place. And I always said to my companion, I always said to him, there's something special about this location. It's just something. Some people said they experienced prejudice, being called the N-word and this and that in this town. Well, I'm 12 years, and no, I've actually been embraced by the Caucasians here. They actually gave me and my companion a surprise party at their bar. Shut down the whole thing. Straight up. Cool, down to earth, camping type, needless to say. We have deer steaks up the wazoo, roasts and things like that. But we don't go out of the realm of deer, Some of them eat all kinds of things. Great people. You have to take people as they come. Not every black person is a hood rat, and not every white person is a slave master or a pretending, in practice. Because a lot of them really still do think that when they say something, you need to jump. That is done. And the spider woman weaves a web against things like that. That is her persona. She doesn't like mistreatment of others. She doesn't like thieves of any kind, swindlers, utter monsters to children, and those that try to deplete and extinguish her tribes and traditions. Now, can you identify with the Spider Woman? I certainly can. Of course, you may have conjured it up in your mind already. I am a Nubian goddess here, born in North America. Okay? I do not subscribe to African American, Black, or any other kind of tag that someone would put on me. I know what's in my DNA, I know where I'm from originally, and I do have two sides, a mom and a dad. And they both have contributed to my genetic makeup, okay? So around here, we honor the matriarch as well as the patriarch. As a matter of fact, in some tribes, the women were the leaders. You never got to be second place until Fred Flintstone came on the scene. And I'll have you know, just like they depicted, we actually did get along with the big, huge creatures that were out then. They actually did live with man and creature upon Earth. If not, we would have all been killed and, ripped to shreds by these gigantic dinosaurs and flying dinosaurs that I would say dragons, But that's what I would say. So, in the tribes, the indigenous tribes of North America, spider women were very, very important in the tribe. As a matter of fact, her number here is 11, which is a representative of the twin pillars. And so, very beautiful thumbnail depiction. I have a grandmother that looks just like that. And before she cut a lot of her hair, she liked to have the braids. But when she came to New York, all the women were getting presses, getting their hair pressed and pressed and pressed. She didn't play the relaxer too much, because she had the type of hair where you could flat iron it, you could press it, because there wasn't flat ironing back then. You could press it and it will be nice and silky and black. And I'm looking at a picture of her right now. She looks very similar to the person in the thumbnail. Now, let us get into the story of our beloved dark goddess, Spider Woman. At first it says she is the weaver of fate. The weaver of fate. We all know fate is the unknown path that life will take. And also, aside from being a great weaver, the great goddess was a wise woman. Can I hear you say that again? She was a wise woman. That deserves some thunder. That deserves some thunder. And it's too bad I don't have any lightning. It's too bad. And so, let's stay on wise woman for a second. Do you know a wise woman in your family? Every family has one. And so, if you look at your own family, the wise woman is probably the grandmother or the great-grandmother, those of us that have the privilege of having our great-grandmothers in our lives. And so, usually, it is that. But, spiritually and esoterically, sometimes the wisest has yet to be born, or they could be the younger little woman in the family. In my case, for my mother in that part of the family, I was the wise woman. Okay? First it was my grandmother. In my perspective of living in my portion of the family, it was my grandmother. And then the very next other wise woman was me. I have an auntie that's a wise woman, and she was one of the only ones that actually continued to be connected to me throughout my life, you know. And I have another auntie who is also a wise woman. But my thing is, I'm not like all the women in my family are pretty wise with their little tribes. They have control of, you know, each of their tribes, and I don't blame them. You know, are they together as a unit, as sisters, while they're raising their tribes? I would say no, very distant. And so a lot of this comes from bullshit, family trauma. Every family has trauma. But this being that you are being introduced or reminded of the Spider Woman, we can utilize her for wisdom when we do not have elder women to actually reach out to us or for us to reach out to them. Nowadays, it's like you gotta reach out, because I think the older people think that it's our responsibility to seek them. After all, they are the libraries of our lives, personally. Your grandparents or your parents are the library. Whoever the eldest family members are, they are the libraries of your family. And if anything, you should have great relationships with your elders in your own way. You cannot force yourself. Sometimes you just can't cultivate a relationship, but know that is not any karma on your behalf, because it is the elder. Now, say it's an aunt and you are the niece. Okay. It's not your responsibility to reach out to your aunt. Okay? The title aunt means your mother's sister. Okay? Or your mother's brother, but we're speaking about the women. And so, when you have an auntie in these situations, the auntie, in most cases, is older. And the responsibility is, if anything happens to mommy, you know, in the esoteric family world, spiritual, if anything happens to the parents, the aunties inherit the children. So that auntie could be a potential mother, you know. And aside from their own kids, back in the day, that was part of the covenant. Something happens to the sister, the auntie takes the babies. And so most aunties are like second moms, you know. And so I happen to be an auntie, and I take pride in my position. And right now we have a smaller family, so I just have my 3 grandchildren, I have my 3 children, and I have a niece and a nephew. I keep in contact with my nephew, and I also look after my niece. I try to. But at this point, you can never overstep the mom. You have to be the auntie from the sidelines, unless some crazy shit's going on and you really need to put your foot down and arrange things, regulate them, I would say. So back to the spider woman, we have the wise woman and great teacher. See, we didn't always have schools. And lately I've been swirling it through my mind about this public school system and its benefit, its actual realistic benefit to our children. And at the state of the schools that I have witnessed and the dangers that could happen there, I think going back to ancient ways is a good idea for us parents that still have rights, because they're working day and night to take away parental rights for a lot of different things, because they want control of your children. Why? That's a long story and a rabbit hole I just don't have the time to go through right now. But trust me when I say it is there. You know, that is another thing. I am a wise person. Sometimes I have receipts, sometimes I don't. If you challenge anything I say, you write it down, you go get the facts and look it up. But I don't say things that I don't know about. Okay, that's how I became to be the wise woman in my life. Okay. So, she's a great teacher. Back to that. Our children don't get taught, they don't know the cultures of the different factions within their own family. And we're moving into the Nubian community. And we actually benefit the less. All people that aren't English, put it like that, don't really benefit from our educational system. It is only to get by so that you can get a job here somewhere. But the fact of the matter is, culture and ancestral children books, and you know, they get lessons on a piece of paper, what the teachers say. I'm like, so how are you supposed to delve into the subjects? And because now you have to do it on your own. They also are telling you that all the information in the world is at your fingertips. If there's anything you don't know, you definitely don't have to wait for your teacher at school to tell you. If you do that, you spend a lot of time ignorant in this world. So now, she's also a spider grandmother. Okay, so she has all these positions: goddess number 1, weaver of fate, wise woman, great teacher, and spider grandmother. I can tell you, once you become a grandmother, something alchemical happens to you as well. You are so happy that you get to participate in this situation, and it is your child. Now you get to see your child's child. To me, that is one of the biggest blessings of being alive here on this planet, is to see something you created create something, knowing that it all started with you, is the most wonderful feeling. No one can take that feeling away from you either, because you earned it. You stuck around and you made sure you lived your life a certain way so you could be there. Not saying you had to be rich or whatever. A lot of us sacrificed a lot of money so we could be around for our children. Because here in this world, it's easy to sell your soul. And the spider woman is totally against that. So let's read about her more. Let's get into the story. Spider woman. is the indigenous North American creatrix, oh my goodness, goddess of the universe, okay, who spins the threads of destiny for all beings. Doesn't say white, Nubian, or just indigenous North Americans. It also expanded to goddess of the universe. When you get a chance, study the female spider. As the great spinner of the fabric of life, she has many names, including the weaver of fate, the great teacher, spider grandmother, and the great goddess. She is also connected to the dream realm as the weaver of dreams. She weaves the fabric of fate, merging the known with the unseen. Her story of creation extends to many tribes. Here is a passage for, let's say you want to activate or connect. So there are some words that you can say that will connect you. I'm here to share this information. Oh, spider grandmother, she who spins and weaves the threads of fate, guide me to my destiny. Lead me to the pathway that is meant for me. Open me to the opportunities that arise. Grant me your wisdom, for I am lost, and bless me with the guidance you need. Help me to unravel the thread that is meant for me. Help me to forge your I am open to blessings. Wasn't that wonderful? What a nice prayer, meditation, whatever you want to call it, it deserves. Spider-Woman is the embodiment of the earth and a goddess of protection for the natural world and her children, together with the sun. Together with the sun god. She was the creatrix of the world and all beings who dwell in it. On her loom of fate, she weaves each soul with destiny to carry on their path into the living world. She has been called the good spirit among tribes and acted as their guide in all things. She taught the people how to spin and weave, thus creating blankets and clothing that would protect them against the deadly cold of winter and aiding their survival. It is believed that with her web of protection, she traps those who would do her followers harm. Spider Grandmother brings us the medicine of honoring our path. She ties us to our destiny and our dreams, and she reminds us that our fate is a thread we must unravel for ourselves. This can be a lonely prospect at times, but Spider-Woman grants us the strength to move forward, knowing we can cut the threads that bind us. Spider Grandmother offers warning to those who would initiate the path of who would imitate the path of another. Let's read that again. Spider Grandmother offers warming. Spider Grandmother offers warming to those who would imitate the path of another or try to steal their destiny. Yeah, that's warning. You don't want to do that. You should never want to take the destiny or path of another. That is utter blasphemy. Spider-Woman also has some associations. And things that are associated with the Spider-Woman are destiny and fate, connection to ancient wisdom. Now, so working and accessing Spider-Woman can help you connect to ancient wisdom, which means she runs the Akashic record section, where all the information of ancient wisdom is. There are a lot of gatekeepers, but we're dealing with the Spider-Woman. I can definitely see that she would be one of them. But like I said, she has many names. And this can even be connected to the goddesses of ancient Kemet. Okay. Because a lot of the indigenous were actually, they were the oldest civilization. So they were the ones that taught any other civilization their way. And you could see remnants of it with the crowns, the feathers, and things like that. Isis, Osset had the feather and all of that. You could just really just see in their fashion, their clothing, their headdresses, everything that connects to Kemet from what we call North American indigenous. And so, you have a connection to ancient wisdom through her. You can manifest the unseen. You can work with dream magic. You can work with cutting ties, weaving intentions, earth medicine, and following your own faith. So an affirmation of the Spider-Woman is, I embrace my unique path. I move forward. I embrace my unique path. I move forward with ready steps toward the future that is meant for me. I untangle the mystery of my medicine and my purpose on this planet. I honor the truth that breathes within my soul. And so we have some colors, crystals, oils, and symbols that represent Spider-Woman, which is rutilated quartz, tourmalinated quartz. Is that a mix with tourmaline? They have something called spiderweb jasper. So she's very particular with her crystal association. Rutilated quartz, tourmalinated quartz, and spiderweb jasper. Google those. You can find them somewhere. Colors: white, gray, and silver. Plants and oils: the reed plant, any type of grasses, vines, and ancient trees. Some of the various old trees. You know, the shea butter tree is very, very ancient. It's incredible. Lots of trees are ancient. Our archetypes: the great goddess, weaver of fate, wise woman, great teacher, spider, grandmother. And you can call whichever one you need, you know. Symbols: the spider, of course, thread, and loom. Now, confession. I have a story. First I have a story, then I have a confession. Which one do you want first? I think I hear you guys saying you want the confession first. I confess I have a fear of spiders. Now, the fear extends to them being able to disappear before you can find the shoe. It's like you can't take your eye off of it, and it's very fast. And it's a scary, excuse me, a scary feeling of going to sleep knowing that you didn't kill the spider. I just always had this spooky thing with that. And so I would always make it my business to make sure that the spider was done and dead, right? But now I have a story that softened my heart with spiders. I still don't like to, if I see one near my bed or whatever, and I can't, get it to get out, it's going to die. I am a scorpion goddess, so need I explain any more? I protect other insects, and we go for the kill before we even think about it. It's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that type of very strong scorpionic being. So, that's my confession. I've killed so many spiders. And this last interaction I had with spiders. So here's the story, because I gotta kind of go back and forth. My mother, the great goddess Ruby, she had a special talent with all animals, plants, and bugs. And she had an army of spiders at her command. And they would all link up together and sleep and hover on her side of the bed in the corner. Okay? There were about 30 spiders, probably 44 knowing her. But they were daddy long leg types, and she always taught us growing up, we always knew the golden rule, never kill a daddy long legs because they eat the mosquitoes. Okay, so I always, and they didn't bite, and she taught me they didn't bite, so I would let them crawl with me up. So always had a fear for spiders, but a love for daddy long legs only, okay? And so after I saw her, she would, me and my kids would be in a room, we like grandma, whatever, they were okay with it. They were outside running around playing. And I was like, did you know grandma had spiders? They were like, oh yeah, we know. Cool, huh? And I'm like, what? To myself, I'm looking at her. And at the time, I was totally immersed in the church, just about to be a minister or whatever. And it was really weird. So then, right then and there, I knew that my mama was special. She wasn't scared of nothing. We would go fishing, a snake would come, she'd get a rock. She said, oh, I'm not going to kill it. She's like, let's just pack and move to another spot. She definitely respected the animal world or whatever. And they loved her as well, with the love that was actually weird. She always had cats. We grew up with a black cat. We had a black cat then. I should have known about this goddess thing. Well, I have actually lived it, and I'm to the point in life now where I know that I have lived it. Being around a real goddess. I'm not saying goddesses are perfect. They go through a lot of stuff. But one thing is, a goddess will always remain to be a goddess, even at her lowest state. She can bring herself back up, but she will always be a goddess. My cat's laying on my phone. I'm like, where's my console? He's laying on it. He had the nerve to look at me like I was stealing something.
1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2. Now on and on and on and on. Wake the fuck up, cause it's been too long.
you got that part. But like I was saying, your spiritual bank account matters. You know? And what you're trying to do is not overdraft. You know? Not the overkill. As much as you love to do it. You know? The magician would not. We must be in control of ourselves. And sometimes it's hard, especially when you have, some of us have cravings and things we like to eat, but we know we can't. And just there's just so much out there, you know? And you have to be the master in your own right. And I take my advice right along with you. Let's just know. The Spider Woman is a woman of few activities except for working for others, continuing to weave the web of fate. If she stops, what happens? And so whether it's myth mixed with truth, the wisdom from it is very heavy. Age is nothing but a number. You have some young women out here that are definitely schooling their mamas when it's supposed to be vice versa. Or you guys give to one another because, see, they're on the side of new, fresh information. And a lot of times we're working with that ancient information. But everything can stand to be polished, cleaned, restored, you know, in that manner. And it's beautifully cold outside, but it feels really nice. I think I'm going to go out and stand in the breeze a little bit. It's dark. I might be able to pinpoint a few of my star family out there and just say my mantras to the universe and continue to weave the best fate for myself in my mind. That's where the web is. You know, if you're lucky enough to be Spider-Man or Spider-Woman, you can get the web out of your wrist. But other than that, it's all about you, baby. Peace from the House of Tanya 23. Always working on the temple of Tanya 23.